Okay.
Yeah, of course. Please continue.
I'm just continue talking. But you should never forget, and this is the big difference, because there are a lot of people out there who say, well, that's the same like marketing. It's not the same like marketing. Marketing, you start on a certain day and you sell your product as long as you can, as long as you don't have your return on investment. Political campaigns, they end on election day, and therefore you have to plan careful and invest resources. And digital makes one thing possible, and that's why I put it in there. It gives you the chance to change things last minute. And this hasn't been possible for quite a while, because when we put billboard out there or TV ads or radio ads, it took a lot of time to plan that and also to put it in place. But now we can do it right on the spot and put it up on the market and deal with that. And so this is a big thing. So 3 challenges. First challenge is battle of attention. Second, new communication means new rules. And third, still the fundamentals remain the same. Now, how do we approach digital campaigning? Globally, what you can see in science, but also what we do in our campaigns. First, think about it as a platform. We talk about platform economy, but think also about it, a platform you own, which is your place where you're going to start all your content you have. So think about content. I always believe this is a very good philosophy to approach it. There will be always a website, there will be always a blog. There's a lot of talk about that this will go away. No, it won't, because you need a place where you are the one and only owner for this place, and where you decide which rules are there. In Facebook and Twitter, you are just guests, but on the blog, on the website, you are the owner. So think about it as your content platform. And then there are certain outposts out there, like Facebook, like Twitter, like email, like whatever. So the point is, you have to define based on what's happening in your country. You have to define which way you have to go. In some countries, for example, there are limitations on the bandwidth, on the speed. So you have to think about it, what would be a better way to communicate? I do a lot of things in Asia and in South America, and there are different rules of engagement. So that's why be aware of the things which impact your target group. Don't copy what is going on in the US or in Germany. Think about it. What is the best way to use it in your country? And think about it as the elements of a digital ecosystem which are linked to each other. So there isn't just an individual website, there isn't just an individual email campaign, there isn't just an individual Facebook or social media campaign. They are all linked to each other, because people communicate, the voters you want to reach, they communicate through different means, but they come across you as to you as a campaign. So what's happening is out there, you have to interlink these campaigns. They have to be linked to each other. What you talk about on Facebook has to do with something which you post on YouTube or what you do on Twitter. So think about it linkage-wise, because some campaigns approach it differently, but they are all one ecosystem, the digital one, and people come across on different touch points. Think about it as a touch point-based campaigning, and I will explain it in one more second. If you want to have a picture for that, think about it as a journey. There's a starting point, this is the start of your campaign, and there's an end point, obviously election day. And along this way, there are certain things where people come across you and your campaign, online and offline. And these things have to be interlinked. And there are 4 major things you want to achieve along this journey. First, you want to gain their attention. And this attention is basically something which is hard to grasp, because you are competing with Coca-Cola, with BMW, with other people who have much more money out there in the digital sphere. So that's why you have to be better targeted than anyone else. Attention. Second thing is if you have their attention, try to convert them. Conversion means get their email address. Again, Facebook, you are just a guest. When you have the email address, you have basically the postal address of the 21st century. I have my email address for 17 years now, and I probably will have it my whole life. So if you have that, you are very good in approaching people. Therefore, get their email address, try to convert them. How do you do that? Do petitions, do things where people can sign up for, and then try to collect more and more data in order to enrich this email address you then have. Then you engage people, give them something to do, give them a call to action, invite them for an event, do other things. Therefore, you approach them, make them a part of your campaign, and finally, in the final stage, you have to mobilize them. Give them a call for, now is election day. Now you have to bring 2 friends. Now you have to do this and that. So basically, this is the journey. Think about it as a journey, and then you are well off. But before you reach that, you have to involve them in a ladder of engagement. I hope you have heard about it. That's basically how you do today content marketing, how you do digital campaigning. First, and this is the most of them, there are observers out there. People who come your website across or read something about on a big blog or whatever, and you want to make them you want that they become followers. So first of all, you want to have a like, or you want to have engagement on your Facebook site or something else. When you have that, you can track them or you can pull them in, and you want to make them supporters, obviously members of your campaign, ultimately activists, and finally, obviously, ambassadors. Now, this is not easy, but when you think about it as a ladder of engagement, where you have to pull people in step by step, it helps you to conceptualize when you plan a political campaign, because you understand that a lot of people don't care so much about politics. I mean, you join on a Thursday afternoon a German guy talking about political campaigns. I mean, I would say we are all heavy activists. We are ambassadors for our campaign. But there are a lot of other things out there you want to pull in. And since you are activists of youth organizations and youth movements, you are quite aware how different their time can be spent, because a lot of people are out there, young people who say, well, you know, I have other things to do. I want to meet my friends and things like that. So give them purposeful things to do. And the good news is that there are people out there who say, well, you know what? Now it's a time to get engaged because it happens something in this world. Trump, other people as well, bring people back to the table. Well, what are the channels? First channel, obviously, it's Facebook. Facebook is all about reach. I put in here a website or Facebook site from a German parliamentarian, and he basically moved his personal account to a fan page. You know the difference, because the difference is 5,000 fans are capped, and then basically you have no chance to involve someone else. So what's happening is a lot of people use fan pages. We can discuss that later. But I'm a big fan of Facebook reaching out to people. Why? Because it can target significantly well. One example, in Facebook, you can what we call pinpointing or geographical outreach, hyperlocal targeting for American standards. What does it mean? You can set a pin on a certain, not just on a certain city or on a certain county. You can set it on a certain building and say you want to target people around this neighborhood in a span of 1 kilometer, of 2 kilometer, of 3 kilometer. What does it mean? For example, in the US elections, the Democrats and the Republicans targeted young people around college campuses, around universities. And they set a pin on the university, and then they just put Facebook ads to people who are close to this area. So the possibilities there are endless, but you have to be aware of the fact that you are competing with a lot of other interests there as well. Secondly, second channel is Instagram, obviously. Instagram is the fastest growing network in the social media field. And if you check it out more carefully, we're going to find it's a low-level entry and it fits our world because it makes two things possible. First, you share pictures. And as we say, a picture can say more than 1,000 words. So that's something where you really can do a lot. And they basically every day roll new features out, and this can be very helpful. And specifically in the target group you are active in, between 14 and 30, it's the fastest growing network. It's bypassed the Snapchat. Snapchat has a problem because it limits its users. Basically, it keeps them in their own network, and this is, in my opinion, not really very well done. And Instagram copied 101 the Snapchat stories, and therefore it basically stole a very important feature because now video is big on Instagram with the stories. And so it's going to grow fast, and it's a low-level entry. You can approach people easily. And I would say this would be a very valuable tool for you guys. Third one, and I'm running through here, this is when you become politically active and you want to reach out to journalists and your peers, to other politicians. Twitter is less a network for the normal citizens, but it is a network for politicians and for journalists. And therefore, you have to be on it. It's information on speed. If you want to spin, twist something, you put it on Twitter because you are interconnected with a lot of people. Therefore, be on Twitter if you want to be politically active because you can reach out to your peers and you can do it successfully. But you have to follow certain rules. One is, never forget, in a social media time, we don't have the two identities. We are not private and we are not politically or professional on two different worlds. It's evolving together in one. So having two identities for yourself is an example of lack of integrity. At least that's what Zuckerberg says. But I believe it's really certainly true. So work breaks into your private life breaks into your world. So be aware of that. Secondly, organizations don't tweet, people do. So don't have just a Twitter feed where you are anonymously tweeting as an organization. Personalize it. The best is if you personalize it on your own. If you want to tweet as your youth organization or your youth forum, then at least use shortcuts where everyone knows this is tweeting Danko, this is tweeting Mario. So this is something you have to be aware of. And obviously you can win an election with that. And this leads to something where the strategic use of Twitter has been broken into the political sphere. 140 letters basically can lead to a lot of changes, and I'm going to show you some in a second. Before I do that, I quickly want to point out to you that there is a certain way where you have people pulling them out of your community into your community and to give them privacy. Twitter provides you the chance to hashtag. This means you make people aware of what you are thinking about. You can retweet before you even met someone or before you even talk to someone. You can tweet or reply to people, so you approach them directly. And finally, you can even send them direct messages. So this all taken together means basically you have a good chance with Twitter to grow your people who follow your political messages. So this is a very good tool to use. We just used that in a German campaign. This is not just for you guys, also for Germans, a very awkward hashtag. But the hashtag basically means for Germany in which people can live good and freely and like their life. Or this, I mean, loosely translated, but basically we just put this hashtag out. Everyone was wondering what it means, and basically we had a big media discussion about it. And so we introduced our campaign by basically a hashtag. So, and this shows how important digital campaigning is out there. Now, from channels now to formats, which kind of formats can be useful? And I'm running through that quickly. Be aware of a certain roadmap. First of all, and this is what Danko asked me beforehand, make sure that everyone understands what could be a valuable way how to approach it. First of all, be aware of your mission you want to achieve. If you run a political campaign, obviously you want to be voted on election day. If you want to run a youth campaign to get new members, that's a different mission statement. If you, for example, want to promote a certain issue, that's a different mission goal. And based on your different mission goal, you have to create digital personas. I hope you have heard about it. Otherwise, we talk about it later. Basically, real people. Try to find a way to conceptualize who you are targeting to. It helps you to get your communication better. Thirdly, get your targeting right. I talked about Facebook and talked about Instagram, a lot of other things. Be aware how you can optimize your targeting. And finally, think about it content-wise. What does it mean, your mission goal, how it relates to the content you want to put out there? Some examples. Video is becoming king, specifically in Facebook, but also in other ways. But video in the social media world is changing our way of watching things. We call this audience retention. You might have heard about it. What it basically means is that the most of the people don't watch a video for longer than 5 or 6 seconds. So, and that's something, here you can see average duration of video views was 12 seconds. So this means, like in the old ages, at the end of a video, there was the solution, there was the thing, yeah, now I figured it out. This is not happening in social media. In social media, you have to get the information up front, because there you reach the most of the people. Just an example, why is that? We talk about it heartbeats, or this is how we basically approach videos. Think about, get your core message at the front end, and then repeat your core message in heartbeats splits. I'm going to show you in a second. So because this is basically the way people are dropping out of your videos. So repeat your core message along the way of heartbeats. I think this is the best way to remember it. What do I mean? I show you an example. I hope it works. Wait, let's just check it. Just a second. Oh, guys. Sorry, guys. I tried one more time. So again, heartbeat. I hope your heartbeat is still on and you haven't fallen to sleep yet. I tried to rush it through and I'm almost done. No, sorry, it doesn't work. I had a video with heartbeats. So anyway, there are 2 other ways to use it. One is share pics, and there are easy tools to use out there. Share pics is becoming big, not just in Twitter, but in Instagram and in Facebook as well. And keep it short and simple. Easy messages, people can overflow it. They need 3 seconds to basically scroll you through the screen of your mobile. So this is how they should approach and read it. And the same is going with meme. That's something where you easily can use it, put it in your stuff and put it out there. And obviously, social media is also kind of, where you can mock your political opponent. There are great pictures out there, and you really can mock, for example, our Social Democrat opponent here right now. That's what we try to do, and right now we're doing it quite okay and quite successfully. Okay, and finally, there is a format which I encourage you to do because it helps to potentialize the algorithm of Facebook. It's Facebook Live. So you go live on Facebook. You can do it basically now in every social media channel. And live really helps you, and more people watch it. also for a brief period of time, but it gives you really edge and it helps you communicate. So these are two people. Unfortunately, they are not from our political side, but you see, this is basically, this is how they communicated that they would join a force together. So this basically was a really interesting case, and I've seen a lot of views. Now, formats also have to be tested. So for your website, you can do a lot of A/B testing. So for example, you can test colors, you can test your screens and things like that. You have to do that. A/B testing we can do in the Q&A session, but basically it means playing out different colors, different formats, different copies to different people, and then see which performs better, where people stay longer on a website, where stay longer on the video, and then roll it out to everyone. So this is what's going to happening in the digital world right now. You can test photocopies and anything else. There are a lot of things going on there. Finally, online ads. It's growing big in the US, and it's probably not so much for you, for your youth organizations right now, but this is definitely something you want to check out, because the organic reach by Facebook drops probably below 10%. So after 10% of what your people are on Facebook, when you have 100 friends, just 10 see it, 90% don't see it. So therefore, you need advertisement, and this is what you have to be aware of. And one more strategic thing: Donald Trump, not unsuccessfully, tried to use it for agenda setting and agenda cutting tools, and this is something I found really helpful to see that. Now, final slide. If you want to think about political campaigning and digital communication, think about it as a matrix. You need entertainment stuff, you need information stuff, you need inspiring stuff, and you need convincing stuff. And place it along the matrix. And if you plan, and if you want to take two things from me away today, is first, get your mission goal right, and then plan it along a roadmap. And secondly, think about your formats, think about your content along the way of being entertaining, being convincing, being informative, and being inspiring. And if you're going to do that, you're going to be successful, and you are probably even much smarter than I am on these things. And that's why I'm looking forward to get the question and answers you are now raising, and I hope you have woken up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I like this last slide very much. Great ending of the presentation. Thank you very much, Mario. So, dear colleagues, now it's your turn to speak, or not to speak, because we will pose our questions through typing as during previous webinars. So please, if anyone has a question from Mario, just type here in this chat or message box. Okay. We will wait. Okay, until you figure out what you would like to ask Mario, I will ask the first question. But you will have enough time to think about what you would like to know. Mario, what you can say? What would be the new trends, if you can foresee, for the next election campaign in Germany, in terms of social media? What do you expect to see new?
I would say there are three things you can see already. One is we have a much higher tendency to go to social media. So that's something where we definitely gonna find more video. So what's happening is we are placing a lot of things going on video content, all parties. And I'm doing right now a research project as well about digital campaigning of different parties and political organizations in Germany, and this is definitely a trend. The second thing is you're going to find more testing along the channels. So Instagram is growing big in Germany, not yet so much, but I think it's catching up quite significantly. and Facebook will be big, specifically with online advertisement. And finally, and this is within the social media field, there is a lot of back and forth along, let's say, quick snippets, quick things where you react to your political opponent. So there is much more comparative campaigning going on there, which is for people who follow that quite funny. I'm not yet sure if it convinces one more voter, but this is up. We're going to see that.
Thanks. Yesterday we had some questions about how to handle negative comments across social media. What to do in the case of getting negative comments, negative response, either from fake profiles or from real people.
Okay, talking about negative comments, I mean, I have a clear motto for that. Don't feed the trolls. So it doesn't help you a bit if you engage people who don't like you, so or who are against you. They steal your time. So therefore, you have to be aware of that. And what I would suggest always is measure carefully who has a decent and very important question to raise, and then answer that properly, and then do that. And if there are people out there who basically engage in a mean way, ban them or delete their content or don't engage with them. And what we're gonna try to test right now is how big trolls or how big social bots are becoming in this election. And I believe we checked that already last convention of the CDU when Angela Merkel was re-elected. And almost, I think, 10% of the responses came from social bots. So we are also trying to track that. Yeah, but I would never feed the trolls. That's my statement to that.
General advice.
Yeah.
And also what people were quite interested about is how to follow offline campaign, how to follow with offline campaign after some efforts made through social media channels, or how to connect those two, offline and online campaign.
Yeah, that's what the argument I tried to make was, Danko, that there isn't really an online or offline campaign anymore. There is just a campaign, and you want to integrate the different channels and you want to put that right next to each other. What one of my main tasks is basically to conceptualize and run our door-to-door mobilization, and we put a lot of effort into it. But obviously, it's also interesting by targeting mechanisms which are out there to target people not just door-to-door, but also, give them digital backup as well. So if you, for example, go door-to-door in one city, it probably makes sense also to talk to them through digital. And if you do that smartly and in a systematic way, I believe they have more touch points. They basically are going to find you on digital, but also they find you directly. So these are the things which get integrated.
So okay. So we should not think about campaigning as separate in terms of offline and online, but more as integrated efforts in one big campaign.
Definitely, and what you're going to find is a marketing and political communication and also public affairs. They all got more and more involved with each other. They are more integrated. Coca-Cola, I've just visited a presentation of Coca-Cola, and they integrate all these different means together. And this is what we also have to do as political communicators. And if we don't believe that, we will fail. And this also means bringing your digital people on the deciding table, because they also have to plan it. If you don't do so, you just have half of the picture, and it's the quickest growing communication channel. Evie had a question. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask if it is better targeting for your digital campaign. I would like to ask if is it better targeting for your digital campaign, the CDU audience or CSU audience, considering a low budget on digital campaign? Good question. The question is, what is a CDU audience or what is a CSU audience? Because I believe, and if we are talking Facebook right now here, Facebook has certain so-called mindsets. They invented basically clusters where people fit in. So more urban people, which are liberal on certain standards. So they put all the social demographic data and lifestyle data together, shook it through, and they build different audiences. And now the question is, if you want to take just one item, being politically conservative, for example, and take this as an audience, or if you approach it differently and say, well, what could be, for example, 3 or 4 or 5 things which makes you more likely to be a CDU guy? Now, this comes back to the question how your data protection laws are. And in Germany, you can't basically get information on the political affiliation. So you have to approach it differently. I know that in some of your countries, guys, it's easier to get it. And in the US, it's most easy because there you can match your voter file with your audience. You can make a so-called lookalike or customized custom audience within Facebook, and it's easy to approach them. But in Germany, it's not possible. So I would say, if you question what is better targeting or if what is easier, I would always say the audience is not a pure CDU or CSU audience. There are different audiences out there, and the likelihood that they are CDU or CSU depends on different kind of factors, which obviously we won't share before election day.
Thank you.
By the way, just a second thing with the low budget on a digital campaign. I mean, this is true, but you have to be aware of the fact you have to invest money when you do targeting at all. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it, because the targeting and the more precise you get, is more expensive it gets. Because your reach and your possible engagement is decreasing. So that's something.
Thank you very much. Evie is writing something probably to say. Oh, thank you. He's satisfied with your answer. Any more questions from you, boys and girls? Okay, Mario, thank you very much for this inspiring presentation. I really enjoyed listening to it, and I also believe that participants have the same feeling about it. We will also looking forward to bring you in the region in next month, maybe, or like after elections.
Danko, I would love to come, but before election day, sorry, I
That's the real answer I expected from you, to be honest. Yeah, that's a real campaign guy. Bravo.
But I would love to. I've been basically to almost every country in the region, but I haven't done so for a while.
Really?
So I did a lot of talks and campaigning stuff. I'm so old, so I did it already like 6 years ago.
No, really, we were looking forward, and it doesn't matter if it's after these elections, but we would really love to have you for a live event here, so you can also go. You will have opportunity to go into details with participants in these topics. So really,
Perfect.
yeah, we will really. So I want to say, expect our invitation, and after election day, of course.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so, and I seriously love it. I mean, the thing is, I'm an Eastern German.
Oh.
So what I am really keen of is, and maybe this is now my final message as a more political one. I'm an Eastern German, so I believe our starting points are in Eastern Germany or in Eastern Europe have been different as, for example, in Western Germany or Western Europe.
Oh yeah.
But this always shows me, and you can look around. I mean, this means for the Balkans, means for a lot of countries in Eastern Europe, people are much more dedicated and driven and passionate what they do. And I think if we connect with each other, we can learn a lot. I can learn from you. You can maybe learn something from me. And all together, we can make it better. And Europe needs that. All right.
That's a great message for the end, really. A real great message for the end. Thank you very much, Mario. We look forward to have you here in the region, of course. And thank you very much for your time. This was a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, dear participants. We will see each other very soon in 2 weeks in Ohrid. And in the meantime, we will be in touch. Again,
All
thank you
right.
very much to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye. Cheers.